guys? Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with my ongoing 31 Days of Horror. Happy Thursday. It is numbered day episode, whatever, 26. We don't have forever and ever to go. We got a few days to really soak up and enjoy this month. So let's do it, man, with some Halloween. And from here on out, it is all Halloween. It's my Halloween, though, really, with the exception. I said earlier on at some point that I wasn't going to do this. But I thought once I got to a point where I realized why I wanted to spend the last few days just going through Halloween, it would really be wrong of me to not spend a few minutes talking about Halloween, one of them. And so the one I want to talk about for a little bit is Halloween Ends. Of course, anything I say that's critical, just know I saw everyone in the theater. I own everyone on physical media. In fact, one of them on 4K, although now I kind of wish I had Ends on 4K and not Kills. Although there's something aesthetically about this movie that's lends itself to 4K in a way. I think it's the color palette, the darker colors. But go back some years, and of course we got the official announcement that this trilogy was coming down the pike. Look, here's what my thoughts when I first heard this news will forever be kept, because they're down there. The video on top of the heap is me reacting to the first news that was breaking that David Gordon Green, that, at the time there was a real major pissing contest between those who were on Rob Zombie's side and John Carpenter's side. And this announcement came, and I was not too enthused. I was not very happy. And if you want to take a little trip into the past and hear what somebody had to say before any of these films dropped on us, it might be worth to go check out what I have to say. So I'm not going to re-spiel it all over here, except to say I was really, really wanting, didn't have to be Rob, okay, but I really wanted to see that universe extended, maybe toned back, maybe, the best of both worlds. Bring somebody in who can take the characters who are left, Brad Dourif, man, and the others, and maybe create a Halloween film that really owes much to the original in terms of style and vibe, but it's a capstone to the characters that, if you enjoyed, like me, we get to see it all sort of finish out. But instead, we got a whole new trilogy, and we got a continuation of the pissing contest and Carpenter's feelings on Rob's two movies, even though he apparently told Rob, hey, make your movies. Well, Rob would have made his movies if it wasn't for the Weinstein brothers not giving him his initial pitch. But anyways, that's I'll probably speak to that if I deal with the Rob Zombie movies. I'm sorry for even starting that rabbit trail. I do love Halloween. I love the franchise. It's probably my franchise, okay? In totality. I love the franchise. And sometime back on the Horror Movie Podcast, they had the guy, I meant to look, because I always forget his name, but he had a lot to do with the Scream Factory release of that 10-film collection, the Halloween collection. He also, I think, put together the documentary the short doc that preceded the anniversary release of John's movie, Halloween. And so, but this guy made a point on the podcast, and I agree with him completely. And it doesn't matter what franchise it is we're looking at, but you have this sculpture taking place, right? And for this, it's Michael Myers. And there's always somebody who's going to come in who is going to put their own etch on it, their own mark on it. And this isn't always going to make the collective happy. Look at how much Part 5 is hated. Look how much Part 3 is hated. Look how, or Resurrection, or these three movies, Rob's two movies, which should have been three. But everyone comes in and puts their mark on that. And so whether you, look, it doesn't matter how much you hate these three or how much you hate Rob's two. If you're a Halloween enthusiast, this whole collection ought to be, and we ought to celebrate, because there's a lot of things, and I'll get into it if I do those other movies. But there's a lot to be celebrated with Rob's movies. And you know what? A lot can be said with how much they were inspired by Rob's movies in this trilogy, with the level of violence, the gore, a lot of tonally. Look, there are things that Michael does in these films that he never would have done or did not do before Rob's movies. So, this trilogy does live under the shadow of Rob's films. But anyways, ends. Halloween Ends. This, surprisingly, is the one I like. This is the one I really, really enjoy. Watching this the other night, I love the ending, man. And I really do think tonally, I think the beginning is really Rob Zombie-ish. I could so easily think, as this movie begins, the first opening seconds, right, with the radio station and all that stuff, and the Universal logo, I could literally picture this as a Rob Zombie movie that's about to start. I don't know if you guys feel the same or not, but that's how I feel. I love this movie because I love the opening scene with Corey babysitting. Dude, that kid is rotten, man. I don't care what anyone says. Now, he doesn't deserve to die, and that accident is horrific. But what happens to Corey as a result, now, does it belong in Halloween? I don't know, man. I just know it's a great opening scene, man. It kind of reminds me, one of my two favorite scenes, opening scenes. Well, I love the opening of Halloween 2, right? Who doesn't, man? I've been tricked to death tonight. You don't know what death is. Or you got the final climactic moments of Scout Taylor Compton, just resting on Michael, having just shot, and screaming into the montage that will come, which I think is one of the greatest endings ever in any of these movies, to the opening scene and ends. And then aesthetically, there's just so much to like. And it kind of got reminding me a little bit, or got me thinking, in that exhaustive documentary for Nightmare on Elm Street. I think just before you started with Freddy Ends, there's a little story about how Peter Jackson wrote a treatment for what could have been the ending of the franchise, in which his character Freddy would have been sort of relegated to no life, where the kids are taking sleeping drugs just to go into their dreams to beat up on him. And as a result, one of them he does kill, and when he does, he starts to regain his life, his energy force, so to speak, I guess. And it just made me wonder, did somebody read that script when they made this? Because a lot of what is in here keeps reminding me of that. And you know how this stuff gets shopped around and stuff gets, looted. But the one thing I really hate about this, and I don't hate it, but I wish it was just dropped, is the funeral procession at the end. I could have, if this would have just ended, this movie could have ended so many ways. You could have done an incredible nod to the end moments of Halloween 4, except maybe have, in the light of what has happened with Corey and Laurie, in that aftermath of just sheer despair, you could have somehow, I don't know, brought Michael in or something, and that could have just been, I don't know. You could have done a lot, man. I do. There are some great moments in here, some really great moments. When Laurie's daughter comes in, and it seems as though Laurie has just killed Corey. It's a great moment. The fight scene in the kitchen, I don't know. The whole movie could have ended in the kitchen. The whole movie, it could have ended with Corey being the new Shape. That would have been pretty intense. I don't know. The movie could have ended a lot of ways. But I'll say this, with all the hate that this gets, this is the one that actually I like. And this is a great October near Halloween. I don't know if I'll watch it Halloween. I got other things I'd rather watch on Halloween evening. But I don't know. It stands apart from the other two in a way that, I don't know, Friday 5, Halloween 3, Nightmare 2, it just got that weird thing going on that I just wonder if enough time is allowed to pass on, we're not going to appreciate this film the same as we appreciate some of the others I just mentioned. I love Corey. Corey in here steals the show, and yes, it's a lot. It is the Corey narrative going on. Michael is, been relegated. A lot of stuff. There's not a lot of coherent writing in the entire arc of the trilogy. There is a lot to be desired. There is a lot to be celebrated in Rob's two films, what these films never do. Even just, I'll say it when I do those movies. I'm sure I'm going to do them in the next couple of days. But this to say, I mean, I think Corey steals the show. I say, Laurie, look, this is what I wanted. This is her character, her personality, her interactions with Will Patton. That's what I wanted from right out the outset. I just don't think, and then there's the lost scene of, was Laurie the one who ran the bus off, which would have been brilliant. It would have been ballsy. And the rumors are it didn't test well, and so they scrapped it. But they didn't scrap other elements of the film, or they forgot about it, because when Laurie's still getting all the hate and ends for those events busting out, it's almost like the people of Haddonfield, they know she's the one who ran the bus off the road. She's the one who her actions set Michael loose on the town, and therefore she's going to pay. Think how much more a lot of this would have made sense had they left that scene intact. It just would have made more sense. They really, with Carpenter and Cody working together on the composition, the score, I think Halloween has never sounded as good in this trilogy. There is a lot aesthetically. There are moments in kills where that put a smile on my face, and then it just waves off into what. There are moments in the first 18. It's just, the Halloween narrative is just, it's all over the place, man. You either go 1 and 2 and then jump to H2O, or you go 1, jump to 18, or you've got the 4, 5, 6 arc with Danielle Harris, who is great that she comes back into the Halloween fold, as Annie Brackett, and I think her acting work in H2 is phenomenal, as well as Scouts, absolutely phenomenal. Brad Dourif, phenomenal. Malcolm, I did good for what he was being told to do, but here, I mean, I loved Laurie. I loved Will Patton's how those two their scene in the grocery store is fantastic. I kind of. Some of the town hate, get rid of the mullet, please. That still bothers me when I see that. That is one of the few things in this movie that really bothers me still. I can't get past that. And I've heard it said that some of the stuff is in style, and I don't care if it's in style or not in style. It's I mean, there's scenes like that again harken to something that you didn't though, but you could have seen in a Rob Zombie movie, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, it's when she says, when her daughter says to Corey, let's just burn it down, and he says, I'll light the match, or maybe she says, I'll light the, I can't remember which one. I don't know. At that moment, it felt like you could have veered off into some really strange world that would involve those two together. How ballsy would that have been? If you just leave Michael relegated, and I'm going to just wrap this up, relegated in the shadows for almost the entire movie, and you let these two just run amok together, just creating a whole slew of violence against this town that has created so much baggage for them, on top of what they've gone through, horrifically, both of them. And then out of the ashes of all that chaos, the aftermath of that chaos, then as a parting gift, you let Michael rise up out of that, and then you let credits roll. How freaking awesome would that have been? Yeah, look, it can say ends all day long. We know there's going to be a reboot. We know this. Anyways, look, I hope I said enough positive. I prefer Rob Zombie's movies as a whole, coherent for what it is, and I'll get into why probably as I go further with them. But I do appreciate elements. Ends is the standout for me. It really is a standout. It just, oh boy, it could have been so much more. But yeah. So, anyways, day 26, Halloween Ends. I probably said way more than I should have on a short burst of a 31 Days of Horror. So my apologies, but maybe it was fun to listen to. Anyways, we always end these things off with Go Bills. Happy October.
This is not a dream. Not a dream. We might be useful to you.